Okay, I think we're all set up here and we are live. And welcome to episode 22 of That Moment Heart to Heart Talk with Dr. Victoria Grinman. That is me. And today I am here with David Alan Kogut. And the episode is entitled When to Let Go. So I'm excited to hear, David, about this. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so nice to have be on your show and be on your podcast. I think this is fun. Very good.
Yeah.
Congratulations on it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed just chatting with you about cryptocurrencies and all sorts of fun things. So maybe we'll get to that. I'm not sure. But I am excited to talk with you because just like 5 minutes ago, every time I connect with you or hear you speak, there's always something I think very fun and energetic and vibrant about you, your life, what you have to share about what's going on now. So I am excited to introduce you to my audience, and I would love for you to share a little bit about what it is that you do in the world. Who are you? How do you contribute?
Oh, wow. I guess how I contribute now is certainly different than how I used to contribute. I moved to New York back in the early 90s and started working in the entertainment business, record industry specifically, because I had an opportunity and I really love music. So at that time, it was all about what do I like? What do I want? What do I want to do in the world? And I'm a creative, so I enjoyed photography and design and things of that nature. So the long and short of that is I moved to New York to kind of grasp that. And during that time, I was starting something new. I was exploring a new place. I hadn't lived in New York before. So it was all a new thing and I was enjoying it. It was kind of all about me. It was, what am I doing? How can I do the next best thing? And I think during that whole time that I was in New York, I had been seeing somebody, eventually got married, eventually had a baby. She had a child from a previous marriage. So I had 2 kids at one point. As this is, of course, this is along like a 11-year timeline here, but it was good. I mean, I was working, and then part of the story is they decided to move all the people from the area in RCA that I was in to Germany, and I couldn't go, so I had to stay. So they basically said, you have 2 weeks, so hit the road. Wow. Now, at the day they told me that is the day that my wife at the time and I bought a house on literally that day. So, wow. So we kind of like, I remember when the word came in, I didn't know what to do. And I went to the New York Museum of Science and sat in the IMAX theater for 8 hours. And just watch the movie over and over and over, kind of like meditation. Like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? How about now? And the answers didn't come. The answers didn't come. But I had to go back home and say, guess what? That great position, that great thing I was doing is gone. I have to figure out the next step. And so that was one turning point. And that turning point actually caused me to think about, well, what's my bigger picture? What do I really want to do? Now, when I was back in Buffalo, I ran my own business. When I moved here, I was working for someone. Although I loved it, there was something about having my own business. So I decided to connect with an old friend who was actually the lead guitarist for Meatloaf at the time.
What?
Yeah. And
why did you come out with these? Okay. Uh-huh.
Well, he was an old friend that I've seen him play with Blood, Sweat, and Tears and Ready for the World, like all these different bands. And he was with the Meatloaf, and I had a little discussion. There was this new technology coming out called New Tech. Long and short of it was just a new way to do editing and video and things like that. And we decided to invest in that and start a business in like 1993. And he and I did that business probably for, I think, 11 years.
Wow.
And the interesting thing is we went right back to the record labels that I left and became their outsource. So I kind of did exactly what I did when I was working for them, but instead of one label, I worked for maybe 10 labels. And we did really, really well for that period of time. again, I was really driven. My ex-wife at the time was driven in her work. She became, she was a doctor of pharmacology working for a big pharmaceutical lab. Life was going kind of in its direction, but I think another turning point that came along that had me kind of sitting in that IMAX theater again was
it's very it should be a movie. Like what's not what's his name? Not Andy Warhol. The quirky it'll come to me, but it sounds very, very quirky.
Yeah, well, I'm taking a lot out here. I'm trying to make it kind of simple, but life, does this. I mean, you have the house, the white picket fence scenario, and 2 kids and little baby, and it's wonderful, wonderful. But what can happen, and it happened to me in relationships, is the personal relationship went like that. Without getting a lot of details, what happened is, I think it was like 2004. My business partner at the time, he was about 12 years older than me. And so this is when the internet was starting to blow up and starting to get big. And I wanted to move into the internet out of just doing print work and things of that nature. I saw print work going away. And I kind of had a vision. His vision was pretty limited. So we did a lot of this. So he decided that, we both decided that this wasn't going to work out anymore. So I technically had a business partner divorce in 2004.
Wow.
And I had to figure out what to do next. And within 2 months of that, I had a personal divorce. So in 2004 was an interesting year because basically everything just went kaboom. It was just a big kaboom. So personal and business kind of disappeared. So I had to figure out what I was going to do for work. I had to figure out what I was going to do personally, because now, divorce can be, a difficult thing. It can be an easy thing, but it's heartbreaking thing. It's not what you really want in the long run, but of course I'm eliminating a lot of details here, but the fact of the matter is I kind of had 2 divorces in 1 year.
Wow. And
so when we talk about the moment, well, that moment was, okay, what now? And when we split, I had kept the house because I wanted to have my daughter kind of stay in the same neighborhood and so forth. And actually my ex only moved like a mile away. So we shared custody half and half. So I had my daughter half the time. But when that all happened, it's like you have combined stuff. So basically I had the house, but it was like empty completely. There was nothing. Like, hello. So it was just me and my voice, and that was it. So I went from having a business partner in an office to having, a wife, 2 kids, to standing in a place completely by myself.
Now, can I interject? I have a question about that, because when we find ourselves in that kind of position, sometimes what I ask myself is like, what's the common and by no means are you the common denominator in both of the situations and you should do this, but I often find myself asking, what is it about me that has me in this situation? What's going on over here? And I wonder, you didn't have to have that kind of thought, but was there any thought like that going on for you? Like, what's going on right now?
Well, I believe you're 100% right. I mean, we're exactly where we are because of the decisions we make, good or bad. So I'm completely responsible. It's not about everybody else. Everybody else is just do what they do. They are who they are, and they make their decisions. So how I decide to show up is really how I end up in the game. So by sitting there, I remember talking to my mom at the time, and Tony Robbins came up with a friend of mine, a UPW event. I had no clue. Like, I had his tapes, Power Talk and all that, but I never went to an event. And I didn't know what it was. So I actually called RRI and said, hey, what's a UPW? What do you actually do?
That's funny. Okay.
I met, I talked to this person, and they gave me like the inside scoop and set up my account and all this kind of thing. And I talked to a buddy of mine going with me. And I went to the UPW. Rah, rah, wow, Tony, this is amazing. It spoke to me. It spoke to me in the sense that it got me out of me and it got me into the we. It got me focused. So the turning point, I think, there was, at the time, it was a lot about me. It was like, where am I going? What am I doing? And even with family and friends and a business partner, I don't think my mind was as wide as it is now. So I went to that, and then I had the opportunity to join Mastery, which was a big bit of money at the time. And going through all that, that was not really something that I had to work with. And I remember standing in the living room because there was no place to sit. I was standing, and I and I was on the phone with my mom, and I'm saying, I'm going to Mastery University. It's going to be great. You got to go this place for a week and that place for a week and travel here. And she's like, David, you don't have a couch. You don't have a chair. I know, but this thing's and I remember saying to her, you know what? Buying a couch and a chair isn't going to change my life. Because after I get the couch and the chair, I'm still going to sit with the same situation. Mm. So I'd rather have no couch or chair and just do something, make a shift, make a change. So I kind of did that. I joined Mastery, got really into it, got a life coach. That's where I met my life coach in 2005. Wow. She was another turning point. I was going this way. She grabbed me and pointed me this way. Got involved in spirituality. She brought me to the Kabbalah Center. I remember that got me a whole spiritual view. I stayed with Tony crewing, and I ended up working with him on a regular basis on his events. And I got to be around the group and community of people, like-minded individuals. I started studying. So that created a different me. And the one more turning point, which was huge, because there's always another one, as you know, in life. The divorce part was actually okay, in the sense of I handled it. We went through it, still had my daughter, still had time. But what happened was her mom decided to want to move out of state. Mm. And how that came apart isn't really necessary, but the long and short of it, I wasn't really prepared for that. It came out of the blue because I had started setting up my life, like what I was doing. I started working again. Things were coming together. I was on a great path, and then all of a sudden, boom, another kaboom. Well, I didn't want that to happen. I didn't think it was the greatest idea, so I fought it. Mm-hmm. And I fought it really, really hard, as she did as well, because her belief was that was the best for her. I didn't think it was. So you have two people with, two views. And I really did what I thought was everything I could do. I mean, I got petitions. I went around to former principals. I went to all the moms on the block because, it was the moms never let their kids stay overnight and do sleepovers ever. But with my kid, they did. They just trusted who I was and what I was. And I thought I put together a really good case. Okay. So what happened was, and this is the important part of the story, because this is really about letting go. There was a part where, we had this whole case stuff, and you're at a trial and you got people talking why and experts. And I mean, it was a big to do. It was like a 9-day deal, believe it or not. Mm. Wow. But what happened was I went to the law office waiting to see what that order was going to be, what the judge was going to say after all this stuff that went on. I'm making this story very short here. And it didn't
imagine. By the way, yeah. I don't mean to interject, but when I said Andy Warhol, it was Woody Allen. It's like a Woody Allen scene.
Yeah.
It's in the museum.
My life's a dark comedy.
Well, all I saw was Woody Allen. He needs to produce and direct your life movie. I mean, seriously, David.
I'm making this. Yeah, it could be a dark comedy, I guess. It could be a drama, horror show. It could be a comedy.
A lot of different things. Yeah. Your life feels to me like it's like a book. I can't even. The more I talk to you, I'm just, first of all, we're laughing, but I'm just brought to a point of, I'm just mystified by the cat with 9 lives. Like, I don't know how you just like keep experiencing these incredible things with incredible people and having these these breakthroughs. So it's just amazing. But go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting ride, and I think, you know, during this time when I was sitting at the law office waiting for that piece of paper to come through, you know, like my heart's going, like, because I'm thinking like, what's the rest of my life going to be like? You know, it's like sitting there waiting. How am I going to deal with this? So I called the attorney because I was actually in their office. They gave me the key to the office, and I'm actually there. And the fax machine's nothing happened. She goes, you know what? There's probably no paper in the machine. Put the paper in.
Oh my goodness.
I was there for hours, like 4 hours, 5 hours, just sitting there.
Oh, wow.
Waiting, because I go, could happen now. Put the paper in, all of a sudden the paper starts coming out. And it says that she's able to go to Virginia. And I like dropped it. I went, I mean, it's like, you know, you feel like this blood comes out of you. And I scurried home. And I got home, and because all this time had passed and my ex had already gotten this order, they were already packed up, ready to go. I got there, and my daughter was actually like in the car waving goodbye. And I stood there like a deer in the headlights, and you know, bye, Dad, and the car just went. That was my traumatic time, because now, like, everything was gone. Like, now my kid. And I go, okay, yeah, now I'm going to travel there. My life was what that's going to be like, driving 500 miles to see her and having her come up on an airplane. I mean, it was just, I just, like, you know, when they say like the air just comes out of your bubble.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like fighting a battle, and then you find out that you lost. And so I looked at it as losing. I did.
Like defeat.
Yeah, I looked at it like I lost something. And I remember in the center, at the Kabbalah Center I was studying at, they have teachers, they have people that are full of wisdom, and they kind of talk. And he says, I went up to him, I said, Eitan, when do you stop pushing? When do you let go? When do you stop pushing? I'm pushing so hard for everything. And he said, you stop pushing when it stops being about what you're pushing about and starts becoming about you. And I thought about that. Oh, am I the better business partner? Am I the better parent? Do I know is it about me, or is it really, what's the big picture here? Maybe I'm losing the big picture and I'm pushing too hard for the wrong reasons. So I went, And then I discovered over time, this was the big moment for me. Now, I don't know what your personal, spiritual belief is, God, universe, whatever it is. For me, I grew up Catholic, and I practiced all that growing up because you had to, I was altar boy, the whole thing. But I kind of got out of like religious, I involved in Judaism things, involved in Buddhist things. I mean, I just kind of take a whole picture, because to me it's all the same thing at this point. That's another discussion, my view on that. But
oh yeah,
I do believe in a higher consciousness. I'll put it to you that way. And I'm not the one in control. So I think it's a group effort. So I went to Virginia for the first time after all this had gone down. So I hadn't seen my daughter for like a month. Wow. And we finally got this program of how this all was going to work. And I went down to pick her up and spend the weekend with her in Virginia. So I went and picked her up. She was like 11 at the time. And we had a nice little weekend. We did whatever we did. And then I dropped her off. And then I had to drive 7 hours back home. And this was going to be my routine now. 7 hours there, 7 hours back. Find a place to stay, all that kind of stuff. So I'm driving, and I'm literally dropped her off for the first time, and I just started crying. Just started bawling. Like, I was just like, this is how I'm going to have my experience, and my kid is going to be like this. This isn't, And I called a mentor of mine, and I remember I went up to a stoplight, and I was just like talking, and I'm like, I got to drive home. And I was just not in a great place to even drive home. And then this car, I was at a stoplight, and then this car pulled in front of me. And you know, if you're at a stoplight and someone pulls right in front of you, it was a little shocking. Like, what is this person doing? Then I noticed the car was the exact same car as mine. It was the same model and the same make. It was the same color. And which caught my eye.
Are we like now talking about a really fancy car? Because when I see a RAV4 pull up next to me, that's great. I don't start to think, oh, that's weird.
well, you know, I'm at a stoplight, so there's a stoplight, and I'm like the first person at the stoplight.
Yeah.
So the car does this right in front of me.
I mean, that's, yeah.
It was an Infinity something i30.
Like the same exact model.
It was like the exact car, like I recognized. It was a black car, and it had the exact kind of, you know, model. You probably most likely the year, because everything looked the same. And I would, at the moment, I go, what the, you know, I was actually kind of upset about it because it's kind of weird. And I dropped the phone, I put it down, and then I looked at the license plate. And through my tears and my comments that I was talking to my mentor, it said his will on the license plate. And I went, his will. And I went and I took a picture of it. And I have the picture. And I said to my mentor, I go, you're not going to kind of believe what I just saw. And I don't know what you believe in terms of messages, but at that moment in time, my angst was so high, my upset was so high, and then something came, and it said his will, like, hey, you know what? There's a bigger picture here. That's when I let go.
Wow.
I just let go. I go, I get it. I get it. This is how it's supposed to be. This is how, you know, because I went back to my thought with how hard you keep punching and going back and forth for fighting, and that should be my way. This is what, and if you just let go in life, a lot could come in. But if you run around with your hands closed, nothing can get in. And that's the ego. My way is better. This way is the way it's supposed to be. And it's not to discount your value or discount your opinion, but you kind of have to walk around like this. And mind open, not mind closed. Yeah. So letting go is really the art of being open to the universe to talk to you. And it could be through people. It could be through situations. Like you said, do you ever look at yourself and say, well, why did this happen? You can look at yourself also. You win the lottery, you could say, well, why did this happen? It's like, what am I doing? What am I putting out to the universe? Because all the things that I just mentioned, you may think sound tragic, but there was a lot of good in there too. A lot of amazing things. And I think it really drove me to where I am today, even in my own head. Because if I never let go during those times, I would still be focused on what am I doing? How am I doing? What's my next this? What's my next? As opposed to who can I help today? Who can I change their life today?
David, when we, you know, when David and I, when other people talk about you or when we connect, that's who we see you as, someone who contributes and helps people. And in Tony's speak, if we were looking at the human needs, it sounds like your significance was really important for you. And now it just feels like you live a life of growth and contribution consistently.
Yeah, you know, certain, like the certainty and insignificance were the two at the top. And because certainty, I need to know what's going on. I need to have things in order. And now I really kind of celebrate uncertainty. And I feel actually calmer in the uncertainty than I do in the certainty, because certainty is now confining to me. Whereas uncertainty is like the whole world is your oyster.
Yeah.
Contribution is definitely a big part of it, because like my why is to make other people's dreams come true. That's my why, because in turn, my dream comes true. And it's the feeding of each other that makes the whole world go around, not what can I have and what can I take from you. It's what can I give to you, because I'm going to get somewhere else that I may not expect. You know, when you give somebody, you loan somebody $20, you figure, okay, I did that guy a favor, he's going to help me. And then when he doesn't help you and says, I'm too busy, you're like, oh, wait, I'll give you $20. Meanwhile, you don't know where that positive thing may happen in your life somewhere else, but not from the source that you put it out to.
Got it.
I think people get confused with that. They think if I give to the universe, here, I'm going to get it back from there. In essence, no, you don't.
No.
In essence, it may even come in the guise of a problem. And now that problem, you go, whoa, I thought I did so much for so many, I'm such a good person. Why is my life like X? Well, it's because you're supposed to get a gift, maybe in learning something that will propel you, but you're not going to listen because your mind isn't there to listen. Your mind now has to use a problem to push you out of that zone.
Oh, my mind is blown because, you saying it that way, it makes so much sense. And so a lot of times people will say to me, well, isn't it karma if something bad happens or there's a problem? So that's because I did something wrong. So now it's coming back to me. And in essence, what you're sharing is sometimes the gift is inside the problem. Like we're not listening enough that this is how the universe is giving it to us, and to also be open to those. That's incredible.
Yeah, and in these learning processes, at least if I look at my life in a linear fashion, I believe if you don't get it the first time, you'll have many more opportunities. The problem is that if you don't pay attention in the beginning, that problem will be bigger. It'll be a bigger kaboom for you to get it. So it's kind of like, you know how to tie your shoes. So that's not a problem for you anymore. But there's maybe other things in life that you still haven't mastered. And that's why a lot of people say, oh, why do I keep getting in the same relationships? Why do I keep getting the wrong business partner? Why do I keep? Well, because there's something you haven't changed. You have to discover, well, how come I can't tie that shoe? Why do I have to keep learning to tie my shoe over and over again? Well, because you didn't learn the right way. And then you can go into the whys, because you're not paying attention or you're not open to it. Teachers come when you're ready to learn, kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And what better time to teachers showed up is when there's like that saying, when you're at your knees, there's nowhere to look but up.
Yep.
So that means your ego has been diminished. But when you're ready to listen, there'll be a lot of people to give you guidance in a lot of different things. Even with trading in cryptocurrency, I didn't know anything about it. But why did someone show up? Well, it's because I actually did an amazing thing for one of their family members. So here's a perfect example, not knowing. Now, I really put myself out and did something, but I just felt it was the right thing to do. But years and years and years later, an opportunity came along and someone recognized in their family, hey, that guy did something really amazing. Let me try to help them. And then introduced me to this.
Wow.
So again, here's a perfect example. You don't know where your gifts are going to come from. It didn't come from that person that helped. It came from another location. So that's why I think, letting go is really letting go of your ego, letting go of your expectation. When you expect something from someone, 90% of the time you're going to lose. That's in relationships, that's in business. How come I did this for him? I did this for her. How come she can't? How come he can't? You're going to lose. But if you do it and let go of it, like you're giving it to almost someone that you don't know, then you don't have an attachment to it and you don't have an expectation to it. And
yeah, I like that. We can have hopes, right? But not be attached to an expectation.
High hopes, low expectations. That's what you can do. That's how you can live life with like some serenity in your life and some calmness and some certainty in the sense that, I can control how I feel. So if I give it with that feeling, it can't be hurt because there's nothing attached to the outcome. You either love it, you hate it, you ignore me, you give it to a friend. It doesn't matter because I've already let go of it. It's almost like if you give someone a gift and then they repurpose the gift to a friend.
Yeah.
And you say, hey, I gave you that tie. Or what? I gave that to you. Well, I'm attached to it. If you give it and they go, it's the universe's, it's whatever.
Right.
They could give it to a homeless person. They could give it to their best friend. They could have their dog eat it. It doesn't matter. It's like I did my job.
Right. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I think your life and what you've gone through and what has happened in your life and what's transpired is so incredible. And you didn't even share a morsel of it here, but knowing all of it and knowing you, what is it that you do now? You know, because you have the Star Equity Group, and you help people really shine. And so
Yeah.
I want you to share a little bit about that. And also, how does all of your teachings, all of your learnings, and all of the teachings that have come to you just in the personal development help you in doing what you do? Because you could do what you do and do it a completely different way, kind of like it's a transactional thing. But it seems to me like it's very different how you do your work. And so please share a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, what I do now is, I'm still a creative, but I think what I've done in the personal development has brought in is more a psychological factor. I bring more of a spiritual factor into it. I bring more of a scientific approach to things that I do. And so the difference is that I still I get passionate about someone's life changing the way they see it to change, like their desire. I'm here and I want to be there. I don't know. I love the fact that because of something I can interject, I can help make that time shorter.
Mm-hmm.
And I can make them feel more fulfilled the faster than they could on their own. And that
Who are the people that you work with? What are you actually doing with them? Because I don't think we even talked about that.
Well, it's changed over this whole COVID time, but I mean, basically, I've worked with people or companies that have a desire to put something out to the market. It could be their own personal, like if they were a coach or if they were a therapist or if they were a doctor or a lawyer, but also entertainers, public figures, everybody, no matter what walk of life they have a vision in their head of where they want to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I had done large galas, and galas that would leverage a well-known person with a new product
mm-hmm.
and a philanthropy piece to it. Like the last one we did was St. Jude. So the concept is honor somebody great for being, contributor in their field. Could be music, could be entertainment, whatever, business. And then help a new company to launch a new product because they get a lot of notoriety. Mm-hmm. So that gets them into the market. And then thirdly, help some other people by this benefit of having all these people together and creating some money that can help those people on the charity end. So it was like a three-pronged kind of approach.
Mm-hmm.
But COVID came, and then, live events and so forth, I'm sitting waiting for that to happen again. But
yeah,
what I've done is I distilled that concept down to working with, like I said, like anybody in business and anybody who has a vision, anybody who wants to up-level their vision. They've been working here, or someone that wants to take advantage of technology, someone that wants to take advantage of the current situation. I'm a third party that can come in and see what you're doing and literally flip it on its head. Literally make a change for you from a coaching standpoint to say, look, you're going this way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's understand why you're doing what you're doing. Let's find out what doesn't work or what works. Take what works and then really supercharge it and apply it to new opportunities that are going on now in different ways.
That sounds good to me.
That's really what I do.
I love it. And doing all this, you are a master of having people see themselves in a actually see themselves, and what would you say is a tool or a tip for people out there who are trying to build rapport with people, and how do you see other people's greatness and then communicate that to them? Like, one way that you've definitely shown that to me has been through curiosity. You're a very curious person, and I feel like you really listen, and that has me feel heard and seen. And so what are other ways that you do that?
Well, when I listen, I kind of put together a little puzzle. And the little puzzle, the reason I call my company Star Equity is because I feel everyone is a star. Everyone's got a gift. Everyone's got a purpose. But when you live it, when it's inside you, it's hard to see. So I'm a mirror. So I reflect back what people don't see about themselves. And then I point it to them. I say, look, you're really this. And because you're this, we can utilize this to get to where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing you have to think about is clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Clarity is king, because if you don't have a target, you can have all the bullets in the world or missiles, but if you don't have a target, they're useless. So you want to know where you're going with all this. And the other big part is to know why you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Because people can have the wrong why, spend a lot of time, money, resource, get there and go, wait a minute, that doesn't fulfill me at all. You know, and I spent a lot of time and money to get there, and it really wasn't worth it. So I try to use like a time machine approach, where I go, you know, I'm like going back in time to find out what is that driving force. Could be from when you were a little kid. You know, always wanted to be X. Why? Why did you want to be X? You know, and how does that apply to you today? And minus all your darkness and minus even all your light. Why do you want to be that?
Well, let's go back in time then for a moment. If you had not had the experiences that you've had, and let's say you were doing what you're doing now, you know, creating stars out of people, bringing out their light, would you be doing it the way that you do it now?
Probably not. I can't say that I would, because I think I would have stayed in like the physical ways to do things. I wouldn't got into the mental, and when I say spiritual, I mean it in terms of a big picture.
Yeah.
You know, how is what you do today going to affect everything and everybody else? I would just say, okay, you want that done? Okay, let's go do it. It'll make it great. Now it's much more of a more holistic approach to working with people. I think that's the difference, because I've had that experience in the ups and downs, the tragedies, the good, the bad, just like everybody else. Everybody's got their own story. One thing I've realized is that's why I can't judge anybody, because everybody is on their own path. And just because I don't agree with their path doesn't make it, you know, wrong. It just means it's not my path. And sometimes we like to force those journeys together, business, in relationships, and we force. And that's where you have to let go and just kind of do your thing. And you know what? If it matches up, it matches up. Meanwhile, focused on your why and your purpose, and have clarity around it.
I love that. Yeah. I love that so much. How is your daughter? How's your relation? I remember you mentioning you have a great relationship with her now.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Yeah, I'm so super proud of her. She's an amazing talent. You know, she's independent thinking. You know, I think she carries with her like a little bit of this perfectionism, you know, that can kind of hurt her in the long run. I don't know. She probably gets that from both her mom and her dad. But she's fantastic. She's a great young lady. She's 23 years old now. So
wow.
super proud of her. I'm actually going to go see her tomorrow. So that's exciting.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
I love that.
She's great.
I'm so blessed that we had you on today, and you were really sharing a lot about your life in ways I didn't know. I didn't know some of those things. I would love to see your life in a Woody Allen movie. So let's see how we can make that happen. You know, a lot of, you know, important people. Maybe you can. What I would love for you to do is, you know, we have your starequitygroup.com down there so people can reach out to you that way. But is there anything special that you're working on right now that if people are watching, or, you know, just to put it out in the universe, who are you hoping to meet, and what would you like to share with others that you're up to?
Well, from a business standpoint, I mean, I'm launching a new product called Biz in the Box. And the idea behind that is, you know, during this whole COVID time, people are looking for alternatives, right? And a lot of people desire to start a business, or if they have a business already that's kind of maybe stagnant, or they don't know the next direction to go, you'll be able to go to Biz in the Box and really get literally everything you need, from website to podcast to everything you need to build, and you can a la carte it like a menu and really build it a lot faster, make it happen a lot quicker, and have it really targeted with all the principles that I kind of work with people directly on.
Oh, wow. Do they get you with it as well? Is it coaching with you, or is it something that you're creating that will be more available to the masses?
Well, it is available to the masses. The one part that I'm involved in it is the coaching and consulting module, which is the first thing. So when you sign on, it's actually mandatory to be part of this program to have the coaching, because that's going to kind of distill everything and create the strategy for you, point you in a direction. And then everything else is kind of like important, but it's like the details.
Mm-hmm.
And that then can go to my team, who will be able to build that and produce those things on a strategic timeline basis. And then I become your mentor, basically.
What a thoughtful approach to really pivoting during this time and creating massive value for more people. I just know that in speaking with you, just even the small little, micro distinctions and things and the little tweaks had just made such a difference in my own mindset. So I think that it's invaluable.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. No, I appreciate that. And I think, this world event that's been going on, I think, is difficult and it has been, it also opens up a lot of opportunity too.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when you hear about people being at home and I'm bored, or being at home and I don't know what to do with myself or whatever, I'm trying to offer something to really, with a click, to change your life. Matter of fact, it even says that, change your life in a moment. Because I think it was Wayne Dyer said, thoughts become things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if everyone has thoughts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that here's an opportunity that someone can take a thought, a concept, and turn it into something that they're proud of, and something that they can move forward with.
Yeah. Something comes up for me is, it's like, the journey of going to a concert begins with like buying that ticket. You know what I mean? It's not like actually going to the concert 3 months later, but it's like the minute I bought that Madonna ticket, or my first concert thing, right? I was like, ooh, I was like already there. The journey began. So once you click, the journey of transformation in your business and your life already begins. And so I love it. And you just have to make that decision and declaration. So I hate that we have to wrap up, because I love talking with you, but what would you like to leave everyone with? It could be a quote, a recommendation for a book. Hey, listen to that song. It's my favorite. Anything that you want to, or a mantra, just something that you'd like to leave everyone with.
I would say the best thing to kind of do is to I call it the mirror test. I would just go into a mirror in a bathroom, wherever you are, and ask yourself the question, what do I want? Because I don't think people actually take the time to do that. And you can't lie to yourself. That's the interesting thing. You'll know the minute, oh, I think I'll do this, I should do that. You'll know it. And you can tell somebody else and make up a story, but you really can't do it to yourself. Mm-hmm. So I would just go to the mirror and say, what do I want? Mm-hmm. And then really, with a notebook, actually write down those things. Yeah. Whether you're in a great place or a bad place, your mind, your body, it's about getting the whole mind, heart in sync. Mm-hmm. And actually just be that mirror for yourself, because you're asking yourself those questions, and the answers will come. You just got to write them down, and then be courage and bold enough to actually act on those things.
Incredible. Thank you. I'm gonna go do that. On my next bio break, I'm gonna do that. And it's a practice. It's not gonna come just one time, right? But how often do we do that? And so I love that so much. It's so simple, but it's clear.
Yeah. And because our mind gets filled with advice, our mind gets filled with media, friends, family. But when you go in a room and you just do that, and it could be on a weekly thing. What do I want for this week? Live life with intention. What do I want for this week? It doesn't have to be your whole life. You can take 1 week at a time. You can take 1 day at a time. What do I want for today?
Thank you. Thank you so much, David, for being with me today.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been fun.
This is really fun. I'm sure that we're going to talk again. If not the Joyride podcast, not here, but somewhere else.
That's right. Looking forward to it.
All right. You were incredible. Have an awesome rest of the day. Thanks again.
Okay. Have a great day. Thanks, Victoria.